see here. Let's get going on this. Right. Hello, everybody. I've been going over some stuff, and my friend has been putting some stuff on X Twitter a bit for me. But hope everyone's had a good morning, night, wherever you are. And I've always been right about some of this. And I saw The Enforcer. If anyone watches The Enforcer on YouTube, as smart as they are, they could be idiots about not knowing that UFOs, ETs are real. And I've said before, these so-called drones at military installations across Europe, the U.S., etc., Israel and other parts of the world, I said those most likely are not drones in a lot of cases, but UFOs. The Enforcer has said before that, why don't they just shoot them down? That raises the red flags. That most likely means that indeed they are extraterrestrial in nature or a superpower using their reverse technologies to infiltrate these other countries' military bases. And it happens quite a lot. And I've been hearing it happen with, it's happened Poland, Latvia, Lithuania, and here in the U.S. as well, in nuclear facilities, and they've had to shut down traffic and everything, and people in the Enforcer, dumb enough to believe that they're drones, and they ask, well, why don't they shoot them down? Well, that's the reason. A lot of the weapons, unless they're special, energy type of EMP type stuff that could down these craft, it depends. Also, some of these craft come in with backup. So if we try to use something to down these craft, they have backup with them to stop our technology and stuff like that. These aren't the friendly UFOs. These are more of the other ETs that are here to give us humans a good kick in the ass and say, look what we could do if we want to. We could take over the world or whatever, but we won't. We're just here to remind you that. Anyways, let's get into this here.
Host Ross Coulthart.
Ross Coulthart.
Now, I've got a very interesting guest.
Ross Coulthart, First Legal. Ross Coulthart, News Nation, shout out. Again, I'm doing this because of my own experiences, and I wish I could put that, but stupid YouTube will allow me to edit things the way I want to put in there. There's like some letters you can put in for video or live cast or whatever. But I want to put in my own experiences on this as well, because I have a lot of. Hold on, forgive me if somebody you go over further. Fuck, it's a video. Are you trying to put this on Twitter? My friend here. Let us see here. But I want this as part of my own experiences and stuff. Hope everyone's doing well. Let me see here. Okay. Experiences. Now back to this. Copy paste, copy paste. Okay. Now let's get Ross
today,
Coulthard.
as you would know, there's been these ongoing sightings of objects. I won't even call them drones. Objects over military bases in particular, but also civilian aviation locations right across the United States. The government's persisted in using the term drones, and it's also tried to sort of carry the impression that this is confined just to the New Jersey area. And I think ultimately it's left the public with the overwhelming impression that the
thing is, this is happening, even he said this is happening all over the world. I knew this as well. I can see things happening myself. This is happening in Russia, this is happening in China, Australia, New Zealand, all over different places around the world. It is a huge, I'd say, in my opinion, psyop that the world government is doing and stuff. But anyways.
So-called drones phenomenon, if there is any problem at all, it has been localized to New Jersey, just around New York, and that ultimately this was just a big flap, public hysteria. Most of it was explicable as localized aircraft movements, and indeed no suggestion at all of any anomalous phenomena. Our guest today is Ronald Billack. Ronald is a former US Air Force. What was your title, Ronald? What was your rank, sir?
I was a master sergeant, and the title was Superintendent Inspector General. Second bomb wing on Barksdale Air Force Base.
Right. So you were essentially responsible for keeping the I's dotted and the T's crossed to make sure that everything was proper in the bomb wing. And when we use the word bomb, Barksdale Air Force Base,
that's what I thought it was.
neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah, I'm going to go with...
I know that they do. It's ridiculous, unless he's still in the military. My dad worked with nuclear weapons. That's how he got top secret clearance. He had access to the nukes and everything. And if you had to, you could launch them or whatever. This was at Homestead Air Force Base, which closed decades ago. Barksdale was the next one in Florida and stuff. He met JFK and everything. And my father, like I said, if we went to nuclear war, my father would have been the person to help launch those things. So,
with exactly base would be the first one taken out, so I think we'll just leave it at that.
No. That's why ETs are there. And hopefully, my hope is for ETs to make all nuclear weapons null and inert, to where they can't be used. That'd be nice. But
no worries. So you've served 20 years in the US Air Force, and you came out with a meritorious service medal with 2 oak leaf clusters, and you were cited as an outstanding airman of the year. So the Air Force clearly trusted you. You're somebody who was given a good senior role. You were entrusted with responsibilities. And here's what you saw. So let's build the scene. Barksdale Air Force Base has been, of course, the scene in the last few weeks. So there's been an acknowledgement, an official acknowledgement, that counter-drone technology has failed to bring whatever these objects are down. And there's been persistent reports of alleged swarms of drones.
Like I said, there's a reason why the military say drones. They're trying to make up all this BS, this bullshit, and say that they're drones when they're UFOs, extraterrestrial, etc. This is happening before we had reverse engineered technology, for Russians and Chinese have that. This stuff was happening at bases.
The word drones has been used by the Defense Department, not us. Yeah. I would prefer objects, swarms of objects over the base in the last few weeks. Now, as you'll hear from Ronald, he was filming or photographing in late March, and he happened to capture images then. But more importantly, what Ron has seen in a period of time over the base is also extremely important, going right back to the beginning of the so-called drones flap, the New Jersey so-called drones flap. Remember, Barksdale Air Force Base is in Shreveport, Louisiana.
I could say it even happened around here. It happened at Plant 42. It happened in Area 51 from what I hear in other places, Nellis, etc. So New Jersey, that's just bullshit. That, you know, they're trying to keep the stuff secret. Say it's drones, it wasn't. So
a long, long way away from New Jersey. And I think what Ron has to say here is very, very important. Ron, welcome to Reality Barksdale Air Force Base.
The role of the Inspector General was the ombudsman, the honest broker of anybody that it was fraud, waste, abuse, mistreatment. If they wrote, you know, to Congress, we were the ones that investigated and answered their concerns. So congressional level inquiries is what we handled.
Take me back to December 2024.
Sure.
You saw what you've sent to me a video of, anomalous looking objects.
What I saw first, and you know, when I'd heard about the New Jersey thing, I was like, okay, if there's going to be a drone flap, Barksdale's going to be involved. And I saw, and working with somebody else, you know, that we both know, there were multiple reports of other bases, and I just decided that, hey, unlike everybody else, I had the camera ready. I had my phone camera ready. The first thing I caught was a giant object that you saw that was probably 75 feet off the ground, which was very concerning to me. This was a triangular object, probably 15 feet, if not more. Didn't make a noise, nothing. And again, it had to have flown, since it flew over my house, which is at you know, maybe a mile from the west gate and from the back side of the base. It had to have flown directly over it, which, as you know, is an FAA violation. 20 minutes later, I seen objects, Ross, there's no way to describe these objects as anything that I've ever seen in flight pattern before. They flashed, they moved left to right, they moved up and down so quick that I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and I saw 3 of them. And I've never seen anything like that before. They were outside the area of the base. They were across from the west gate and across the river in the Shreveport area. And again, I watched them for 3 to 4 minutes there. I filmed them. You see what I saw. I don't know what I've seen. I'm not going to say, you know, but never seen anything like it.
And so this is the video that is dated the 23rd of December, 2024. Is that correct?
That's probably when I uploaded it. Yeah, because at first I had other people look at it because, again, I didn't believe what I was seeing.
So clearly what you see there in that video, Ronald, are objects that 1 minute they're in one position of the sky, they blink, and then they're literally instantaneously in another portion of the sky. Do you agree with my analysis there?
Absolutely, Ross. I was stunned. You know, I'm like, I'm not believing.
This is the thing, is that some people think that even I thought that some stuff that I see was being a police helicopter on my recordings, and I purposely did not show those. After police helicopter, drones, stuff like that, have those FAA lights. They have to have those lights and everything. I've seen UFOs look like drones, and then they become, you know, UFOs. And I've seen them mimic being stars, stuff with their planets and everything. And like that one right there, that's right there is blinking. You know, people think, oh, that's FAA. No, it's not. That's a white light.
And because there's no way possible. You talked about, you know, Lou and the 5 observables, and I'm going,
right,
you know, what is this? This makes no sense to me. None.
So let's go through that. The 5 observables, one of the things they include is instantaneous velocity. Did you see instantaneous velocity?
That's not possible. I'm looking at something that's not possible. The good thing is I captured it, you know, so people can see it.
The other thing is hypersonic velocity. Did you see hypersonic velocity?
I would have to say yes, because there's no other way they could move that way. You know, when they blinked for when they blinked, you could see something was there. It's hard to explain, but it's like you could see after the blink there was a solid object behind that blink. And then there were 3 of them, and they moved in ways that you just can't possibly move. You can't.
Yeah.
One of the other factors with the 5 observables is stealth. Did you see them disguise themselves and then literally disappear and then reappear?
Yeah, that's how you'd have to explain it, because once they moved, once they blinked, then they were somewhere else instantaneously. There was no, so where did they go? How did they get to where they were? I don't know. You know, I just don't know.
So the one of the other characteristics of the 5 observables is no visible means of propulsion, demonstrating perhaps.
So I should say in mine, instead of cloaking, they're using light as well. I know that the ETs that I know that I communicated with, they're actually I better shut my mouth up.
The capacity for anti-gravitic propulsion. Did you see any propellers? Did you hear any noise of jets or turbines?
Noise. No noise, no propellers, no chemtrail, no exhaust, no nothing. Nothing at all.
Could they have been balloons?
Yes, that.
No, no.
Yes,
no, and it wasn't swamp gas either. So.
Swamp gas.
Were there witnesses with you, Ronald? Did other people see what you saw?
Not at my house, but yes, there were other people that I discovered online on X, and that one Reddit that I sent you. Wow. You'll see a triangular formation with 3 of them, which is also amazing.
I mean, obviously, at the time in December of 2024, I think
you'll see a.
Okay, for me, I see the 3 UFOs right here, right? Well, this 3rd one, for me, my experience is that this one was protecting these 3, that I was seeing outside, because they're worried about the stupid military, police, or whatever using an EMP or whatever device, microwave, whatever weapon to down them. And I saw this, and I saw the other objects coming. There were other objects over here, drones, and one of the UFOs that I saw, of course, is pretending to be a star or a planet. That's to put people off, so people don't know, right? So that's what happened with me. All right.
24. I think you were still working at the base. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Did you ever see the objects from within the base while you were working?
No,
at
I
the base?
did not. I believe that, looking back now, I believe it was a probe of the outside the perimeter. That's what makes the most sense. Now, where there's no, the seas, there's no sea, there's no ocean, there's nothing near us. If you look at the Bossier area, we're in the upper northwest quadrant of Louisiana. In fact, close to Texas border. There's nothing, where are they coming from? I don't know.
When you were back on the base after the December 23rd posting that you put up on YouTube that we're showing, was there any discussion about the objects that have been seen over the base amongst the staff at the base?
Not that I'm aware of, but I was not, my position really wasn't within a command structure at that time. So, but no, not anything that I had heard. I sent you the one Facebook comment of a person who claims he went to the West Gate with information and, wasn't friendly told that, hey, this is great. In fact, was told, we don't. Yeah. So the stigma still appeared to be there for at least that person. So
okay, well let's be very strict with you, Ron, and I really appreciate you putting yourself up for cross-examination.
No,
Is it possible you're confused? Is it possible what you saw were conventional drones probing the surrounds of the base. We've had similar reports from Eglin Air Force Base, Edwards Air Force Base, and other Air Force bases right across the United States of so-called drones, advanced drones. Do you think what you saw were drones?
No, I don't, just because of the way they moved. Secondly, the area Shreveport, no, I just don't see that as being somewhere where there would be a drone like invasion type of thing. No, I just don't. But then, I don't know that. I can't, but it just wouldn't make sense to me. But
right.
And again, they would have to be not only in Shreveport, they would have to be entirely to the east of us to Ruston and Monroe. So you're talking somebody covering 60, 70, 80 miles. I just don't see it.
Yeah. Inside the base in the period between, when did you leave the Air Force?
1 April of 25. That was the last time I was on base working.
Right, so a bit over 6 months ago. Actually, more than 6 months ago.
No, a year ago.
Yeah, it's a year ago. Yeah, it's a year ago.
Yeah.
So, in the year since, you've been working at an arena as a security officer just across the road from the base.
Correct.
Have you seen other anomalous objects during your period as a security officer at the arena?
Just the, like I said, I'd come back from Las Vegas and they were talking about the base being shut down for a drone situation. And that's when I looked over my backyard, which would be towards the flight line of the base. And that's where I captured what I believe were conventional drones coming down.
So this is interesting. So what you've seen most recently over Barksdale Air Force Base is totally different from what you saw in December of 2024.
Correct. These came down in a north-south pattern, not a left or right, very slow. And yeah, they did not look like anything close to what I've seen back in December of 24.
Did you hear the noise of a drone, like a propeller or some kind of propulsion system?
No, it just was a light that just like floated down very, very gently. So totally different than what I'd seen before.
But there was no noise?
None, no.
How far away were the objects?
My best guess would be maybe 2 miles.
So I guess it's quite likely that you wouldn't hear a low-powered drone hovering over the base 2 miles away from where you were standing most recently.
Correct.
And this was, how recently was this that you saw?
March 21st.
Right. Has there been any public commentary at all about obviously there's been the news reports about drone swarms closing down Barksdale Air Force Base in the last few weeks.
I don't know if you saw, but Senator Kennedy said that there was a unclassified briefing, Ross, where they actually have, and his words, not my words, let's make this clear. He said they possibly have 2 of the drones. His words, possibly.
UFOs.
Now, I don't know how you have a report that you either have them or you don't.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Right?
Right.
And if you have them and they're being sent to get fingerprints, and out of 5 swarms that they had, he said 1 of them were hobbyists.
So
how do they know that?
I don't know. I just call bullshit on that. Hobbyists. Well, it could. Yeah. I mean, okay. That's true. I could be wrong. Some could be hobbyists, because there are some people that want to go over military bases and everything, and there's laws, where you could use your drones, and that's federal airspace and stuff. Like, they can't use it over these facilities, and the government is always trying to take more rights away from us and everything. The biggest criminals are ours, our Congress and government and city elected officials and everything. And they're to save drones so they can put more surveillance on us and look what we could do with drones and everything. It's all planned. It's all planned and everything. And they're not going to say it's UFOs anymore because they want to keep that stuff under wraps and everything. There's still evil people that are in the military and evil people in intelligence that want to keep this stuff secret. So it's just we have to fight against it.
It does sound a bit strange because there's been no official announcement since. There's certainly been no arrests of anyone involved in this.
No, there hasn't, and that's a federal. That if you drive on the base, when you drive on the base and you look, it has a billboard as you enter on the marquee. This is a drone-free. This will be prosecuted. So, did we get the fingerprints? Is there an arrest? What's taking so long? It's April.
Well, the thing is, my dad went to go off to secret installations or do some of his top secret stuff. Is that they could search your car. They would search our car, and son of a bitch.
Oh my God, we're right in it.
You fucking cunt. You piece of shit. Those fucking assholes. I'd have to hack those motherfuckers. Find a way to hack them or something. Fuck you, ad blocker. Anyways, so they can't do that to me. They hack my computer to do that. I'd hack those bitches back. Anyways. Where was I? I lost my train of thought.
This is a drone-free, this...
Yeah, okay, so like I said, where my dad was, took the Janet place to these secret facilities. They're Palmdale, California, and over there, stuff, they would shoot you. You try to do something stupid over there, you try to go through a security gate, or not be searched or something like that, they could shoot you over there. And they were told to shoot you if you did something stupid over there. So,
will be prosecuted. So, did we get the fingerprints? Is there an arrest? What's taking so long?
Yeah, where are these people?
Ron, I know you...
Yeah, where are these people? Where's law enforcement saying, why isn't there news conferences of people being caught? They say, hey, we caught these people doing drones. No, it's UFOs. It's not drones.
You can't talk because of your service and your security oath about what's located on the base, but I'm the one that's saying that it has been acknowledged by Annie Jacobson and other reporters that Barksdale is a nuclear weapons armed base in March. Whether they be conventional drones or not, mysterious objects as you suggest they were back in December 2024, how serious are these kind of incursions over a base, knowing what you know about what's located there?
I think it would be the highest national security as you can get. Like in Annie's book, Barksdale's a top list for terrorists. That's a fact. There's no, it's right in there. You can read that. So the other thing I would tell you, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but do you know Speaker of the House Johnson? His home is in Benton, Louisiana. That is maybe less than an hour from the base. So you tell me, would that not be a concern that the Speaker of the House lives near this area? I would think it would be, but
Now, you have friends...
Just me, I'm not concerned because it's UFOs, not drones. So if they want to do something, they would have done it already.
Without obviously identifying who they are, who have spoken to you with some inside knowledge about what transpired most recently with the most recent incursions over the base. The obvious question is, it's claimed by Senator Kennedy that drones were downed. What has your source told you about the attempts to use counter-UAS technology?
that it was ineffective, so they were supposed to be getting more technology on the base, higher level technology.
Right.
Now, I understand that the type of counter-drone technology they had at the base, first off, was nets, the use of netting.
That is what I'd heard. So, and the netting, and that is simply like almost you're throwing a net over drones to capture them. So yeah, and that did not work. Is what I'd heard.
That failed.
Now I can't confirm that, but that's what I'd heard, that the netting didn't work.
Have you heard whether any techniques such as lasers or high pulse microwaves were used against these objects?
No, I'd not. No.
So essentially at the moment, we've got a security breach over one of the most sensitive Air Force bases in America that I will say definitely has nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
There's a strong link between UAP activity and nuclear weapons. But irrespective of whether these most recent objects are or aren't conventional drones, the mere fact that they were able to operate over the base with apparent impunity without being able to be brought down by the authorities, that's a very grave concern.
I would assume so. And I mean, yeah, if you read Robert Hastings' book, UFOs and Nukes, yeah, that's been long known, that there's a connection there. So it's not surprising that, that would be like that. And yeah, I would think that, any base, regardless of.
Why would the December 2024 objects, not drones, they're clearly not drones as we know them, why would they have been written off and explained by President Trump as FAA authorized research drones? Can you think of any plausible reason as to why the president would do such a thing?
It's a lie, bloody lie.
None. I would have nothing to add to that one at all. I have no idea.
But you're quite clear that the objects that you saw and videoed in December of 2024 were clearly not conventional drones. They were objects that were operating far outside the conventional limitations of modern technology.
Absolutely. The proof is in the video. I mean, that's all I can say is the proof's in the video. I don't know what they were, but obviously I've never seen anything like it. So you tell me, that's the whole thing. The video doesn't lie.
So I'm just going to go through the 4 links that you've sent me. Mm-hmm. So there's the orbs shot by you on the 23rd of December over Barksdale Air Force Base. You shot that video.
Yep, that's me talking in it. Yep.
There's the orbs in northern Louisiana. Now that's not shot by you, but you're saying
that's a Reddit user, but it's at the same time frame, and that's in Monroe, Louisiana, which is about 70-80 miles from here. And that's why I'm saying if this was some kind of operation, it extended from Shreveport to Monroe, and that's just not feasible to me.
Okay, so then the next video is orbs imagery posted on the 18th of December 2024 by somebody called Tiger, who goes by the handle @Perugemon. And then the final one is Deanne Falk-Knighton, and credit to Deanne for the use of your imagery. I hope you don't mind. And it's the 15th of December 2024. What is significant about what Deanna's posted?
She's in Ruston, which is a little bit closer. It's where Louisiana Tech is, and she's saying the exact same things that I'm saying. So, it's not just me. It's several people. The information was out there on X. You can see it, and you can compare it, and you can look at it.
Why would the government gaslight people like you? I mean, here you are, a US Air Force serviceman with 20 years service, meritorious conduct medal, oak leaf clusters, somebody who's highly respected for a very, very sensitive job that you did inside the Air Force. Why would the government apparently flat out lie or mislead the public about what was seen, at the very least, in December of 2024? It's an unresolved mystery, isn't it?
Well, you go back to Dr. Hynek and swamp gas and everything with the whole Roswell deal, Rendlesham, anything you talk about, it's always been the same type of thing. So I don't know. Maybe someday, and hopefully soon, we'll get some form of disclosure and we'll find out.
Well, can I ask you? I mean, President Trump has made a promise on Truth Social that he's going to move to be more transparent, to declassify the, at the moment, still classified UAP videos and imagery. How important is it for someone like yourself, who's been a witness to this kind of phenomenon, that the president follows through with that pledge?
Well, extremely, because I think it's owed to humanity that we know the truth. All of us. Not a certain amount of people.
This is the thing. Stop. I hate where idiots, most people are dumb and retarded nowadays in believing their government and, putting all their hopes into criminals that are running this country. Taking our rights all the time. And they just passed a law, Democrats and Republicans, where they don't have to get a warrant, to look into our electronics, to spy on us, and do stuff. And I think that those guys should face a firing squad, and stuff. And I think they should be hanged for that stuff, because it's unconstitutional. They know that it is, and it shouldn't be allowed. I don't trust the Supreme Court either, because law rulings they've been making has been against the Constitution as well. I'm just saying, you guys should know better. People, like I said, I come from a time when people didn't trust the government because, Vietnam and all this other stuff going on, is that the government always lies to the people. Both parties do. This is around the world. Governments. It's just full of the worst criminals that put usual criminals to shame. It's like, I already know stuff about UFOs, psychic reverse engineering programs, like Stargate and other stuff, and I know the truth. I'll need the stupid, Congress that's only going to put out a bit at a time for some people. They're just going to put a little bit out at a time, just for people to shut up and keep talking, just make a diversion. It's all BS. Smoke and mirrors. And I already know stuff, and it's like, I'll need some stupid ass politician. I'll need some stupid person from the military telling me what's real and what isn't. When I already know that from, personally seeing stuff and doing my own investigations, and everything. It's like, I already know the truth. Why the fuck are people so stupid about putting their hopes on stupid disclosure when you need to get your ass out there and do your own investigations and go to all these sites and go to these places and learn stuff for yourself and everything. It's just, people are lazy too nowadays. Yeah, I know there are people saying that, I got a job, I got this, I got kids. Make time. Learn stuff with your kids. Do it with your kids. Do it with your family. And stuff. But it's a priority because in my belief is as well is that they helped create us. ETs did. That's with DNA and everything. So that they're a part of our life and trying to learn telepathy and psychic remote viewing and other stuff. It's just, we need to be awakened. So.
You get to know only what's really going on. We should all get to know. Good, bad, or indifferent. I don't want to live a lie my whole life and not know what the truth is.
Ronald Black, thank you so much for joining Reality Check. If you can keep us posted on any more anomalous objects that you see over the Barksdale Air Force Base, we'd be very grateful. And I hope the authorities realise that media is going to keep its scrutiny up on whatever result comes out of any investigation into the most recent cluster of objects.
That others will make it out to be a circus and other stuff and sleeping under a rug like it's just drones. Anyways, there's a lot of stuff that I want to go over this real quick. Stop Nick Shirley, yeah.
The Stop Nick Shirley Act. So this is what's happened, is that they are now putting out an entire act to stop certain types of...
Listen, I don't like Republicans, I don't like Democrats, but it seems like Democrats have some of the biggest criminal offenders that there is, and these guys should face a firing squad for treason. You know, they should hang for stuff they're doing. The reason why they want to have this act, which is unconstitutional, by the way, because it's freedom of the press and freedom of speech. You know,
of investigative journalism. This is ridiculous. I can't even believe this is happening. Well, I actually can, but it's still ridiculous.
What do you think about the Stop Nick Shirley Act?
I think you're a psycho scam artist.
But they don't want to end their fraud racket. A lot of the politicians, they benefit from the political organizations, and so they want this racket to continue. They don't want the truth to get out.
Stop fraud investigations, but you're the one who signed off and you're a co-author of it. Here in California, they are trying to pass the Stop Nick Shirley Act, the official title.
Dude, imagine you have the biggest state in the entire country. You're a 23-year-old YouTuber, and they have to make an entire act to try to stop you? I mean, why? Because you're saying that certain people are scamming? Really?
Of this bill's
He's got motion. Yeah, you've got to have motion if that's what you're doing.
26, 24.
Oh my God.
And today we're going to be confronting the legislators that are trying to pass this bill. And if this bill were to get passed, instead of going after the fraudsters, they're trying to make it criminal to go after the people that are committing this fraud.
Which is totally unconstitutional. These people should hang, you know, from an electric wire for trying to do this stuff. Because it doesn't matter what, you know, where you are politically or morally or whatever, people have a right to investigate, you know, part of the press and everything else. We're supposed to keep politicians accountable. Doesn't matter if Republican or Democrat, okay? And so
it would become criminal to film and reveal info on taxpayer-funded immigration services like healthcare, which would include...
So now, how are we going to deal with the fraud problem? Make it illegal for people to talk about it. Oh, okay.
Daycare, hospices.
Yep.
It also covers counseling services.
And the reason why is that it fucks with their bottom line. Like, they will push and they will fight for this illegal alien parasite immigration, like, until their dying breath. Because unless they have this, unless they do demographic and population replacement. Which,
again, I'm not for the blue, I'm not for the red. Both parties I don't like whatsoever. I also know the future. I know the future where things are going to be a lot worse for us. And let's just say protesting will not make it anything better. You have to do things by force. The people will have to do that. Protesting does not work. But anyways, I know the future. I've seen it. So.
Which is what they are doing and what they are trying to do. They won't be able to achieve their goals. They want to create, again, I've said this many times, I will say it again, they are trying to create a non-white, non-Western, non-Christian, racial coalition that they can vote against those interests as a bloc. That's what they are trying to do. That's the reason why they're fighting so hard for it. And that's why I keep saying it. I will continue saying it because it continues to be true.
translation services, and immigration legal services. So for instance, if the Quality Leering Center was inside of California, it would be illegal to expose them. It would make it illegal to film government-funded NGOs. And this bill essentially wants to shield the info of immigrant support services from the public. So
well, again, the Catholic Church is in on this BS as well. They're doing criminal activity to get illegals to come through here, take our resources, American resources that we need, give them to illegals, etc. Stupid Pope idiot.
This in mind whenever people say, oh, well, we shouldn't do this because what if they do that? These people now are trying to literally make a law, pass a law that you can't expose them for fraud. You don't have to wait for these people to do anything. Like you.
They used to say that though. This is freedom of the press. This is freedom of speech. Those are two constitutional rights. In the future, I know the future because I see it. I've seen time change as well, where it's going to be a lot worse. It's going to get a lot darker, and Constitution, everything's going to be thrown out. Like I said, protesting is not going to work.
You don't have to do something in order for them to respond. They will just do it on their own.
Tax dollars, you'd have no idea where it's going because it would then become confidential.
Yeah.
You would not be able to see how much money that NGO is getting if it's going towards immigrant services. And what makes this bill super interesting is the lady who created this bill, her name is Mia Bonta. Her husband is the Attorney General of California named Rob Bonta. You cannot make this up. So you have the Attorney General who's supposed to prosecute and go after the fraudsters.
That's right.
And then you have his wife who's trying to pass bills to go after the people exposing the fraud. Like, seriously, this is absolutely crazy.
Because
and the AG, Rob Bonta, just a few days ago said they were cracking down on the fraud way before certain people came into
behind your face. It's what you'd expect.
We've been doing it successfully.
There he is.
Before certain people in this country decided to think about it for the first time.
However, it was only after I exposed over $100 million in fraud they actually made any arrest here inside of California.
They don't want their fraud
Let's
to stop.
say this bill gets passed. What could happen to you if you expose fraud or go and look into immigration services? Well, you could receive a $4,000 fine underneath a civil fine, a $10,000 fine if it's criminal, and a $50,000 fine if it becomes a felony. You may also face potential imprisonment and your content be forced to be taken down. This is a complete violation of the First Amendment, as they are trying to take down and suppress your own speech, make it so you can't film in public, which is taking away your freedom of press.
Wow.
There's a whole lot of issues with this bill, and today we'll be confronting those that co-authored, signed, and passed.
And keep in mind this, whenever these are the people that are talking about, oh, but the Constitution says that we have birthright citizenship.
They need to face a firing squad for treason against us, the American people. This is, both sides, definitely want this, want to curb our rights in one way or another. And I believe that when they try to do this, that they should face a firing squad for treason against the American people and stuff. But why it doesn't? Why they're not going to be charged with these crimes? Because they're the government.
You are literally making laws that shut down the First fucking Amendment.
And so truly, every single day here in America, you are learning more and more about the fraud that is taking place. And if you want to become a member of the Anti-Fraud Club and help me as I go all about the country to expose this fraud, go join at antifraudclub.com. It is completely free, and hoodies are also available on the site. And really quick, let's go speak with an assemblyman who knows more about this bill before we go and confront them. Let's get into the video. What's the truth about the Stop Nick Shirley Act?
So you've heard a lot of people trying to call you a liar. Why don't we just read the bill? I think that's what everybody just needs to know. Yeah. So in this section of AB 2624, which we call the Stop Nick Shirley Act, it says a person, business, or association shall not publicly post or publicly display, disclose, or distribute on the internet or social media, the internet, the personal information or image of a designated immigration support service provider.
Our forefathers would say burn the house down. Our forefathers were involved in guns. with guns and everything. They would do that. They fought against this stuff like this, fought a war of blood. You know, I relate to one of the forefathers. They fought blood and guts to get trash like these and, you know, kill the people that were against this stuff and everything else. The revolution and everything. What's happening now is, like I said, there's going to be things in the future that will be a lot worse.
Employee or volunteer if that individual or individual entity or organization authorized on the act of their behalf. And that's just some of the language.
And what does that mean? Immigration support services provider.
You're exact. See, and that
because
is
they don't want. They know that if this gets out and more people see this, they'll realize how bad it is. That's why they have to do everything that they can to suppress any conversation about it.
Where the devil is in the details. Designated Immigration Support Services Facility means...
Does this law protect ICE too? No, because every law is only as strong as its enforcement mechanism. We have dozens of laws against what's happening against ICE. It's just that they're not being enforced. So this idea that like, oh, but this could work against them, this is the naive notion that you're operating under as if they care about the law in the first place. They don't care about the law. They're just simply using this, and they will selectively enforce it on people that they disagree with politically.
Like I said, both sides are like this. Both sides are. You know, if it's not the Democrats and the Republicans that go against, you know, what we cannot say and what should be permitted, what should be permitted, and our forefathers made it to where government is supposed to stay out of our business. And even Reagan said, when the government says, you know, comes and says, can we help you? You know, we'd like to help you, stuff like that. When they do that, that's when you should be scared. Because when the government takes over everything, they'll take everything that you got, including your rights that we're supposed to have. And, I mean...
That's what's going to happen.
A facility where immigration support services are provided, including, but not limited to, non-profit organization offices, Department of Justice recognized entities, community legal clinics, law offices, accredited representative sites that provide immigration legal services, and healthcare facilities. They threw that into designated immigration support service facilities.
One of those is definitely not like the others.
No, it's not.
Like, healthcare is not unique to immigrants, whereas all the other things are unique and intrinsic to being an immigrant.
Care facilities.
And healthcare is at the very bottom of this. But that's where a lot of the fraud's taking place.
That's
inside of Medi-Cal, for instance. The hospices, the daycares are with CalWorks, but they're with anything to have to do with immigrants, essentially could not and is actually punishable.
You're 100% right.
Yes.
And that's where, again, the devil is in the details. Their definition of harassment is repeated, unreasonable, and unwelcome conduct.
Unwelcome is like, I mean, this is the most broad term you can possibly use.
What is unwelcome conduct? Simply you asking questions today, can that be considered unwelcome? What do they mean by things that you could generally fear? So if they say the words, I was harassed by Nick Shirley.
They use ambiguity here so they can selectively enforce it on people that they disagree with politically. That's the reason why.
If you were out videotaping a hospice, you would fall under this.
Yes.
Because healthcare facilities is a designated immigration support service facility. That is part of the definition. It is written here that if you post this online and they give you a demand made under that paragraph.
Everybody who's bringing up, by the way, everybody who's bringing up the First Amendment is retarded. These people don't care about the Constitution. They will just, like, everybody knows this is going to get overruled. The people writing this bill know it's going to get overruled. They know that it's not going to happen. What they're doing is they're writing it to scare people. That's what the goal is. Like, if you think that, like, oh, but wait, the Constitution says they can't do that, who cares? Unless it's being enforced, it's not real.
That's true.
People need to be a lot more realistic about things, I think.
That's very true,
shall be effective for 4 years, where you could be punished. So what people really need to know is that the state of California is deciding to punish the journalists out there that are doing the work and exposing the fraud, instead of punishing the fraudsters. In a government that diminishes transparency, has something to hide.
And what are some more crazy things about this bill?
There's a section in this bill that says any records or documents pertaining to a program participant shall be held confidential.
Man.
So there are workarounds in this bill that will hide information that if you wanted to find online the Quality Learning Center, all of these areas can be now moved around and shifted. They are making it harder to find the people's money when we should be making it easier. When we have already proven that in 3 cases alone in the state of California, $500 million in fraud.
That's a lot of fraud.
And so essentially an NGO or a daycare, anything that falls under...
I'm surprised they didn't include the high-speed rail project. Don't worry, they'll put that in later, or else they'll add an addendum to it or whatever, an add-on or whatever. You know, high-speed rail, I mean, geez, you know, I mean, how... There's a lot of fraud here in California and some of these other states.
Underneath immigration support providers, their information...
What the fuck does a daycare have to do with immigration? If somebody gets their leg cut off, I don't give a fuck if they're from New Guinea or not. Oh, wait a minute. This guy's from Morocco. Get the Morocco leg doctor over here. What are we doing?
They become confidential.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly right, is that they can hide it because they have changed the definitions. Designated Immigration Support Services Facility also includes healthcare facilities, also includes nonprofit organizations, and not only that, areas that the Department of Justice actually recognizes those entities. It's such a broad thing, so you can cover everything. And then, when you look at those definitions, when I read you the bill, I am reading the physical bill. So when they call you a liar, how? How are you lying? How, when you have all of the information in front of you, and it's a front. When you sit down and you actually talk about it, you know it's a coordinated effort to steal from the people of California.
In that same day, an assemblyman, Carl DeMaio...
Fucking based. I am so glad to see young men in government that are finally recognizing...
There's lobbyists there to say that I'm extremist or gone too far, but I said, no, I'm not going too far at all. It's what our forefathers would have wanted. It's what they fought for. It's what they killed for. It's for us to have these rights, you know, to have freedom of speech, freedom of the press, to investigate corruption, and to call out the lies of what, you know, Congress and what, you know, other people in government could do. And there was also something that we were going to put in the Constitution, the forefathers, the right to rebel. We, the people, have the right to rebel.
And waking up to this bullshit, and that are being represented and coming up in the ranks. This is great. I'm so happy about this.
Brought forth a motion to push for more transparency on this bill. However, it was then shut down by the Democrats inside of the Assembly to not give any more transparency. And as I was explaining this, one of the co-authors passed by, and it was now my time to confront these legislators who are pushing forth this bill. Here's one of the authors of the bill. How are you guys doing? We just want to ask you about the bill and why you guys would pass this bill that really is an attack on free speech.
I am not even sure what you're talking about.
Yeah,
you said an author. I don't think.
Yes. Did you pass out? Did you sign to pass this bill? The AB 26?
No, I don't
24?
know what you're talking about.
They do.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
You do not.
The biggest privilege.
No, you guys are just talking about something.
We're talking about something random. Okay. Sasha, how are you doing?
Right.
We just want to ask you about the bill AB 2624. Why would you sign off on that? It's a direct violation of the First Amendment, and it makes it harder for people to expose fraud here.
We have Ledge Council. They check the constitutionality of all our bills as we're writing them. I work on fraud issues. You'd know that if you look at some of the work I did on the budget subcommittee.
Yeah, that's the problem. The problem is that you work on fraud issues. Thank you for inviting this reality. Yes, we know. That's the issue.
Mia Bonta, her husband's Attorney General of the Attorney General of California, and it was only until I exposed fraud that they actually cracked down on the fraud and made some arrests here, especially with the hospices. And do you know that if this bill were to pass, it'd make it illegal for someone to go after fraud, especially if it's based off of immigrants, for instance, Armenians in California?
No, I think that's a misinterpretation of the bill.
No.
But I'm happy to talk with you more about it. And fraud and investigations into fraud are something that's been happening for a very long time. The Attorney General handles those cases. This is an ongoing issue.
It's weird that the wife of the Attorney General, Mia Bonta, is now pushing this bill that literally goes against.
The worst part is that the voters probably shouldn't have the right to vote. They're too retarded to for these people in government. They only vote for these people because it's their political party. And the thing is, your political party, no matter which side you're on, wants to take away your rights in some way. If it goes against the will of their party, if it goes against their narrative, their way of thinking, religiously or non-religiously, or morals, ethics, it goes against that, then, you know, they're going to want to toss out all these constitutional rights that our ancestors and forefathers killed and died for. More people would see this. I've said what I've said, and Nick Shirley was awesome and gold and everything. Like I said, I know the future. I've seen the future change. Timelines, people have been messing with time and the future. I've seen it, I felt it. The way that's been changing is just gonna get darker. Let me see here. I want to. Where am I? Am I on? I need to. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's where I want to go next. Hopefully, ball lightning, UFOs and stuff like that, and it dead and everything. Let's see this.
Twitter, there's a phenomena ultra rare known as ball lightning. Can't really say if that's an example, but scientists can't really explain the phenomenon either, other than the fact that it looks like a ball of lightning exploding. Kind of looks like that, and sometimes leaves behind a sulfur smell. So, incredible video.
Well, thing is, like I said, and I know from near-death experiences and how I was burning up, and everything like that, and that when we die, we turn into energy. Which could be
a rare and mysterious thunderstorm phenomenon occurred in Rich Valley, Alberta last week, and it was captured on camera by Global News.
These idiots don't know what the fuck they're talking about because they think that it's all science, and it's not all that. Ball lightning is also the dead. You know, like people had these ghost investigators go into homes. And some of these idiot investigators, ghost investigators, have said, oh, it's just, you know, ball lightning or whatever, ball things, whatever. And the thing is, when we're dead, we turn into energy. And sometimes, that's what you see, is us being that. Did I shut her up?
Very intense lightning. Lightning strike occurred. It lasted for about 23 seconds before they heard a pop sound, and then the light quickly disappeared. Now, although ball lightning is very rare, there actually have been over 10,000 reports of these from around the world, dating all the way back to the 12th century.
This is the thing that scientists are really, I think those retards, because they don't know anything of what they talk about sometimes. They don't. Let's see here.
This is not CGI. You're looking at one of the rarest weather events ever recorded. Ball lightning. It moves like it's alive. Glowing, floating, even changing direction. Scientists still don't fully understand how it forms. Is it plasma? A magnetic bubble? Something else entirely? It lasts only seconds, and it's almost never caught on video. But like this is real.
Like I said, ball lightning is real, but so is, like some stuff that I've seen on X and other sites, is that it could be, the dead, it could be UFOs and stuff like that, or a part of UFO phenomenon as well. And the thing is, people ain't gonna know the difference. Let's see, ball lightning, let's see.
Good.
Тихо.
That's the thing, is that it could be dead. I know, as well as others that have had near-death experiences, you have almost limitless power when you're dead, if you know how to use your imagination and everything else. When you're dead, you have all this power and everything. That's just a small part. If it is that, but.
That just hit here. That just hit the house. On video. That just hit the house. Oh my God.
Well, where the hell is it? Lightning strikes inside the house. Okay. Well, when we're dead, we become electromagnetic energy. Let's see, is that? I just want to see the video. Let's just see about lightning.
experiments using a generator based on a Mobius strip. He successfully generated small ball lightning and plasma fireballs. However, the most extraordinary experiment involved the creation of black ball lightning. This is a photo taken during one of these experiments. The author of this article participated in one such experiment, and
that's another thing, is that we do have SDI stuff, and I'm sure Russians of course do, and I know Chinese have stuff as well. Is that there's a way that things can happen with ball lightning and lasers and other stuff like that, and how it creates a chemical energy type of reaction and stuff to everything.
And alongside Shaparinov, observed the formation of a spherical black object after a current pulse was passed through the rotating Mobius strip. Unfortunately, these experiments were not accompanied by video recordings, making it impossible to pinpoint the exact location where the object formed. The author recalls that the black ball lightning was an exceptionally long-lived object. It drifted about a meter through the air, stopped, and remained motionless for nearly 5 hours before silently vanishing. Despite the intriguing results, these experiments were soon discontinued due to safety concerns. Subscribe now for more insights and discoveries.
Usually the Russians, when the Russians have to stop stuff because of safety concerns, that's very bad, because they've sent in soldiers into nuclear blasting tests. When they've had nuclear blasts, they've had soldiers, they go in, and usually the Russians, especially Soviet Union and stuff like that, they give a shit about that, so that's bad. That's the same thing. And for me to go into how they say ball lightning is in haunted houses, I'd have to go somewhere else, and those are copyrighted. Capture it, you might explode. Yeah. So see, yeah, the thing is, some of those things are living. The scientists are to make up whatever they want. They're to twist facts and everything, and they don't know what I do about near death and other people do about near death and how we become energy, and we are. They're too dumb and stupid for that. This is another reason why I want people to be awakened to what's really out there.
Interpretation of the bill.
No.
I don't know if I should do any more of this. Because I do this only for people to, like, I'm not going to do this, but let's see. Sure. I don't know. I've had some people.
Yeah. Once I started heading down this section,
that I hate YouTube. I really do. And I wouldn't be doing this if my legs were as bad as they are. Thing is that abductions are very real and stuff. Someone was asking about, abductions and saying, we need to know the truth. Why don't they disclose this, about alien abductions? And it's like, you dumb idiots. We've been talking about this for decades. Over 40 years or more, and everything. And we said, things were happening, abductions were happening, that, rapes were happening, and, people being raped and used, for interbreeding purposes with other, ETs and stuff like that. And stop being stupid to ask for Congress, to see if it's real or not. Because they're the biggest liars that there are. Is Congress, people in Congress. And some of them are in on covering this stuff up. This is part of the criminal activity that they're trying to cover up. The military, defense contractors, and other corporations making money off of this and everything. They're not going to want you to know about this. And this is stuff that will keep you up at night. This is stuff of nightmares that happens. And they don't want to talk about that. And a lot of people think that people are crazy. And instead, I think they're the idiots and retards. The dumbest of the people. I know about this stuff, and like I said, the ETs I know of right now, they have never tried to abduct me or do things against my will. And there are different types of ETs. There's good ones and bad ones and stuff. And a lot of times you'll get that psychic sense if you ever see a UFO, you know, close up or whatever, if they're bad or good. You know, at first, you know, I was, you know, very scared and stuff like that. Then it's like, there's nothing to be scared of because you're not doing anything to me. And then, you know, things changed over time. And people just need to know that there's good ones and bad ones. And these ones that do abductions and rapes and extract, you know, semen and eggs, you know, impregnate women and stuff like that, that they're the most evil that there is, that put a lot of the worst offenders in prison to shame and everything. I was a little surprised that Burkett, you know, said, well, I know stuff, you know. It's like, yeah, I already know about that. You knew about that before you did. A lot of us did. And we've been saying, you know, that this stuff is real. And, you know, look towards the biggest criminals, you know, tell you what's real and isn't. You're pretty pathetic in intelligence. You don't have a good IQ. You know, why don't you look stuff up yourself in books or internet or places, and, you know, form your own instead of stupid Congress, the biggest liars that there is. You know, I find out stuff for myself. You know, so anyways, that's all that I have. So say on that right now. Nobody seems to watch or say anything.